Hello, a warm welcome to you from SGT University. I am Dr. R.K. Sinha, Faculty Department of Forensic Medicine. Today we will be learning about management of snake bite.
We have big four, that is big four poisonous snakes present in India. They are cobra, krait, Russell viper and saw scale viper. So we have to deal bites by all these four poisonous snakes. So we must know what are the anti-venom against them. To start management of snake bites, we start with identification of the snake. The bite by this snake is poisonous or non-poisonous. That has to be known first. Then we see the fang marks. Fang marks are bite marks by the poisonous snakes, and they are usually 2 in number, but at times it may be 1 due to side swipe, and it may be multiple also at times due to multiple bites by the same snake. Then we see the scales of the snake. If dead snake is available, we can see the belly scales, we see the head scales. So if head scales are large, it is non-poisonous usually. If it is head scales are smaller, it is by poisonous, which we have read in last lecture. We can see the belly scales. If it is continuous, then it is poisonous. If it is interrupted, it is non-poisonous. So we have read in last lecture. So on the basis of this, we can identify the bite is by poisonous or non-poisonous. That will help in treatment. Now we try to identify the snake bites on the basis of clinical features. We can have bite by neurotoxic snakes. They are cobra and krait. They will present neurotoxic symptoms in the form of ptosis and muscle weakness. See the photograph, cobra and krait. Then we can have hemotoxic poisoning by Russell and saw scale viper bite. Just see the photograph of 2 snakes. And then we have myotoxic symptoms if bitten by sea snakes. By this basis, we can identify the snake bites. Now next step in management of snake bite is by diagnosing of snake bite on the basis of lab investigations. Lab investigation can be by examining peripheral blood smear, evidence of hemolysis seen in the form of fragmented RBC as cystocytes, see in the photograph, arrow mark, it suggests viper bite. Then we examine the urine. If there is hematuria, we suspect viper bite. If there is hemoglobinuria, we also suspect viper bite. But if we see myoglobinuria, we suspect sea snake bite. Then we look for ELISA test. ELISA test is very or rather highly sensitive test. It detects venom antigens in the body fluids. Now we must know how to diagnose a viper bite. We do it by whole blood clotting time, that is commonly called as WBCT. It is a bedside test. It detects coagulation abnormalities. In viper bite, we know that there is coagulation time increases. That means bleeding will take place for more time. So in this test, we take fresh venous blood from the victim bitten by the viper, and we keep this in dry test tube. We keep this test tube undisturbed for 20 minutes. Then we try to tilt this test tube and see if blood is still flowing. That means if blood is still flowing, that means it has not coagulated. That means effect of viper venom is still present. So we must continue with anti-snake venom. So this test is treatment wise very important. So if you suspect a viper bite, we repeat test every 6 hours, and if clotting time is still increased, that means there is no clotting of blood, we continue with treatment with anti-snake venom, and at maximum we can use 30 vials. Once this clotting time normalizes, that means blood has started clotting, this is end point of anti-snake venom therapy. We stop the therapy immediately.
Now we have learned about how to diagnose a case of snake bite, and now let us learn the basic management of snake bite.
Management of snake bite is by first aid and treatment is specific and supportive. WHO protocol, World Health Organization has set up a protocol for management of snake bite. It suggests do it right. R capital, I capital, G capital, H capital, T. R stands for reassurance. Why? Because reassurance is important because many times snake bites are bitten by non-poisonous snakes and patient die due to fear and fright of this bite. So reassurance is first important factor. Then we do immobilization of the limb as if immobilization is being done in the fractured limb. Then next point is GH. GH stands for get to hospital immediately so that early treatment starts and life can be saved. T stands for tell the doctor the detailed sequence of events so that doctor can decide the treatment. What is first aid? First aid, we start with reassurance. We have just enumerated why, as few deaths are by shock due to fright and fear, even if the victim is bitten by non-poisonous snakes. So these are symbols suggesting of reassurance. The next point in first aid is pressure by broad bandage. Pressure is applied by using broad bandage. Just see the photograph. Why? So that the flow or the spread of venom is stopped, arrested. This is done usually for sea snakes and elapids. Elapids, we have studied in last class, that was cobra and krait. But not for vipers, because in vipers if we apply pressure bandage it may cause necrosis, because vipers bites mostly cause necrosis of the wound. So it is used in sea snakes and elapid bites. What we do apply broad firm bandage immediately on the bitten area and around the limb. Usual pressure is 50 to 70 mm of mercury, and this is sufficient to occlude superficial venous and lymphatic return, which is our aim. And we should not occlude the arterial and deep venous flows. This pressure will not do that. In this way we prevent gangrene later on. So third point in first aid is immobilization of the limb as if we are treating a fractured limb. No elevation of limb as it will facilitate systemic absorption of the venom. Just see the splint used for immobilization of the limb. Then the next point in first aid is make patient lie on one side in recovery position. This will help in removing the secretion of the mouth and it will not block the airway. The last thing in the first aid we should do cleaning of the wound and putting a sterile cover on that wound, and we must give tetanus injection. Now we must know some do's and don'ts for snake bites. What are the do's? Do's are rush the patient to the nearest hospital that can deliver proper treatment and immobilize the affected limb, which you have just read in the previous slide. Don'ts: don't take the patient to a tantrik or a snake charmer for treatment, and don't suck the wound. Again, do's and don'ts. Do's: anti-snake venom and emergency care to be given immediately, and supportive treatment in the form of blood transfusion etc. can be given. Don'ts: don't cut the wound open, don't tie ligatures around the wound, don't burn the wound, don't apply herbal paste over the wound.
Now we have learned the first aid in management of snake bite, and now let us learn the specific treatment in snake bite, that is anti-snake venom.
After we are done with first aid, we go for specific treatment of snake bite. Specific treatment of snake bite is done by polyvalent anti-snake venom, that is PAV, or simply called as anti-snake venom. Why it is called polyvalent? Because it contains anti-snake venom against all the 4 poisonous snakes present in India. Those are cobra, krait, Russell viper and saw-scaled viper. How this ASV, that is anti-snake venom, is prepared? It is prepared by hyper-immunizing horse against venom of 4 common poisonous snakes which you have already named. Then the plasma is obtained from this horse and it is concentrated and purified, and this serum is lyophilized. So This ASV is available in the market as lyophilized powder, useful if given within 4 hours of the bite, less value if given within 8 hours, and doubtful value if given after 24 hours. Each vial neutralizes about 6 to 8 mg of the venom. No test dose is required. Children, elderly, pregnancy have to be given same dose as of adult. Anti-snake venom dose is usually 8 to 10 vials per hour intravenous only. Maximum is 20 to 30 vials. It is available in all the primary health center in our country, so it can be given in village setup also, village primary health center. Usually 5 vials are given in mild cases. What are mild cases? Mild cases have local swelling but no systemic reactions. 10 vials are used in moderate cases. Moderate cases are swelling progresses beyond the bite site plus systemic reaction. And we can use 10 to 15 vials in severe cases where we have marked local reaction plus severe systemic symptoms. So one important point is neostigmine test. Neostigmine test is neostigmine injection given to a neuroparalytic victim of snake bite. It can be by cobra bite or crate bite. We give neostigmine injection and we see that there is some improvement in the ptosis or muscle weakness or not. If it is effective, neostigmine injection is effective. That means the bite is by cobra and we can use neostigmine injection along with atropine frequently. But if a bite is by crate, that is also neurotoxic snake, but this neostigmine injection will not be effective. The reason we'll say afterwards. If signs of neuroparalysis present, we do neostigmine test. That means we give test dose of neostigmine and see the improvement. Neostigmine test is less commonly used in India. This is a fallacy because neostigmine injection to be given in cobra bite was discovered in India, and fallacy is that it is less commonly used in India. It is effective in cobra bite as its venom acts on postsynaptic neurons. So the answer is here. Why it is not effective in crate bite? Because the crate venom acts on presynaptic neurons. So neostigmine only acts on postsynaptic neurons. So naturally, crate bite has no effect so far neostigmine injection is concerned. Atropine intravenous is given to counteract the muscarinic effects of neostigmine. Just see the photograph. In cobra bite, which is also neuroparalytic venom, we use neostigmine along with atropine. But in crate, which is also second example of neuroparalytic snake bite, here we don't use neostigmine because it is ineffective because it acts on postsynaptic neurons, while in crate venom it acts on presynaptic. Then after specific treatment by anti-snake venom, we have supportive treatment of snake bite. What are supportive treatment? In viper bites, we can use sedatives for pain management and nervousness. And as we have known that viper bites causes necrosis at the site of the bite, we use surgical debridement of necrosed tissue. In cobra bites, we can use ventilatory support. Why? Because cobra bites is a neurotoxic bite, and in this we can have depression of the respiratory center in the brain, and that will cause respiratory depression. For that, we can use ventilatory support. We can use peritoneal dialysis, blood transfusion, intravenous fluids in all cases of snake bites if required. For pain, in snake bites, usually we use plain paracetamol. We avoid NSAIDs and aspirin because it causes more bleeding, and we also avoid morphine injection to counter pain. Why? Because it may cause respiratory depression. So we can summarize management of snake bite as snake bite comes to us. It may be dry bite or minimal envenomation, or it may be a bite by a non-poisonous snake. Dry bite means less venom is injected to the victim. So we observe such victim for 8 to 12 hours. If we see no progression of symptoms, anti-venom is not required. Then the second scenario may be snake bite, moderate to severe envenomation. The right side of this flow chart shows the management of bite by cobra, crate, neuroparalysis, and the left side of this flow chart shows the management of bite by viper, which has more local necrosis and bleeding. So we proceed local edema anychymosis, we go for immobilization, and then initial dose of antivenom, we may go for dialysis, blood transfusion. The right side we see local redness and neuroparalysis, that means it is a cobra bite. We use pressure immobilization, then initial dose of antivenom, ventilator, and as it is cobra bite we can use neostigmine and atropine. So we can have following take home message. Snake bites may be by a non-poisonous snake or it be a dry bite. So we may not fear all snake bites. Not all snake bites require anti-snake venom. Anti-snake venom, if indicated, is the mainstay in the treatment because it is specific life-saving treatment. Respiratory failure in snake bite can be because of neurotoxicity, as in case of cobra and other. It may be due to shock, it may be due to sepsis, it may be due to acute renal failure. For this, mechanical ventilation may be used.
Today we have covered management of snake bites, and the next time when we meet, we will be exploring on asphyxial deaths. Keep learning, keep growing. See you next time.